How does GI Robot get across the river?
I don't know.
He uses a rowboat. Welcome to the greatest DC Comics show on YouTube. You found Fanboys Live and the Retro Review. Happy Sunday. I'm Ryan Magic Lasso, joined by the Royal of Foils, Signature King Tony. How are you today?
Great. We got our first little snowfall of the year, so I'm excited.
Oh, you did. We've already had 2 snowstorms.
We got a light dusting.
Oh.
But it was enough for the kids to go out and sled a little bit, so that was kind of fun.
Is it one of those where it takes them like 20 minutes to put on all their outside gear and then they get out for about 6 minutes and go, it's too cold, and then they come back in?
Nope, they made about 30 minutes though.
Okay. Not too bad.
Yeah. 30 minutes. But yeah, we don't get too much snow, which is weird.
Yeah.
I live at the base of the Appalachians, so maybe that's why.
Well, the only blizzard that I want is at Dairy Queen.
I have a Dairy Queen very close to my house. I could walk there.
Ooh.
I don't,
But
because I eat at Dairy Queen.
Yes,
but
exactly. It's counterproductive.
Yeah. The more you eat there, the less you walk there.
Yeah. If you're watching on the Rewind, thank you so much for wanting to spend some time to check out our show tonight. We appreciate it. In the live chat, we start out with Ruban Guzman Muabunga to our White Tiger Cool, Calm, Collected. And then hello to Gore Vidal. Never read any Creature Commandos. Is it better than Section 8?
No.
I disagree.
The answer is no.
Disagree strongly. So those, I guess it's up for you to judge when we hit that retro review section tonight. So I have been loving the show. Did you watch the latest episode?
I haven't. I'm going to tonight. I'm going to tonight.
I have watched it.
The episodes that are out so far, including the most recent one, how would you grade it? 1 to 10.
They hold my attention very well. They're not too long. They're not too short. I like how they kind of each one focuses on a different character. I just wish that, I think that once they get through all the characters, the season's done. I wish that we'd get through all the characters and then have a couple episodes of all out,
adventure.
Yeah. 9.
Who is your favorite character so far?
I like a lot of them. And once again, I went into the show thinking that I wasn't even going to watch the show, let alone I didn't think it was a show for me. I really like the Bride a lot. And I like GI Robot a lot. Of course, Cersei's a Wonder Woman villain, so.
Yeah, were you excited to see her so early?
Yeah, I was. So, and without giving a spoiler, I'll say at the end of the episode, if you go all the way through the credits and everything, they give you the preview of next week's episode. Ooh, next week's episode.
Now I have to watch it tonight.
You have to watch the little preview at the end, too, especially. Next week's episode. Ooh.
I gotta see it.
So before we get into news, I'll also mention today is the 46th anniversary of Superman the movie debuting in the United States. Any memories associated with Christopher Reeve's Superman the movie or that franchise or anything like that?
No, because that came out before me,
Yeah, 46 years ago.
Yeah, and I was so that yeah, I don't have, I mean, I've seen them, but they're not nostalgic to me in any way. The first Superman movie I saw in theaters was the Brandon Roth Superman.
Okay.
So not really a good.
Honestly, for me, that was probably that too, because I didn't see any of the Christopher Reeve ones in theaters. I saw them on TV, but I didn't actually see them theatrically.
Sure. Yeah, I think the Superman that I remember growing up was, Superman from Justice League and Justice League Unlimited. That's what I had.
Yeah.
Or Dean Cain, on TV.
Isn't he a friend of Foo's?
Or is it Copy?
Oh, that could be.
Might have been copied, but yeah,
Yeah.
those are the Superman that when I think about my childhood, those resonate. I think of Christopher Reeve as, he's special in a lot of ways, but not necessarily fit a nostalgia thing for me. But I would say if I could be defined by a Superman, it'd probably be Henry Cavill.
Okay.
Just because it was the first Superman that was part of a universe that I could get excited about.
Yeah. Oh, we have silver hair, Bronze Age Babe joining us because I'm old. That's funny. So, like I said, I didn't see it in the theaters, but when it debuted on television, that was a topic of conversation, at school. It's, are you going to watch it tonight? And then the next day, did you watch it? And the big line that was the big hit that all the kids talked about was a Lois Lane line. And it's, you've got me, but who's got you? That was a big hit among the playground talk the next day.
It's funny you mentioned talking about Superman in school. We've talked about Superman in school before a couple times. And it was about Brandon Roth because he's from Iowa. And that was a big deal for us that an Iowan was cast not only as Superman, but somebody from Kansas.
Yeah.
So that was a little bit bittersweet.
Sure.
But yeah, it was fun.
So before I segue out of a little bit of the Christopher Reeve Superman, a couple things that I want to say. I watched the Christopher Reeve Super/Man documentary that is on Max, and I watched it Friday night. I know that Shabab has seen it already because I remember her talking about it in one of her videos. It was so well done.
Okay, I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, very, very
is it
well
just
done.
It's just about Christopher Reeve being Superman, or is it just kind of a biography about Christopher Reeve?
It's focused more on the Superman role that he did and the accident. They touch on a few other things too, but it's more heavily focused on those two things, and it kind of goes back and forth between the two of them.
I also remember, I kind of grew up with the accident already happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember he was part of some kind of research where he could jiggle his fingers. You know what I mean?
Which very rarely happened,
I was old enough to comprehend why that was important. And why that was, it was on the news. Christopher Reeve, he can move his fingers, wiggle his toes, kind of. And, I think it's because of him and his, eagerness to just be human again, so to speak, that he was a big pioneer in that research, that part of the medical field. And he was a big campaigner for it, like Lance Armstrong. And, he had that Live Strong Yellow thing. I'm sure Christopher Reeve was, a pioneer as well in a lot of different ways. So, does a lot of good for the medical field, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So I really enjoyed that documentary. Also, since we're talking about the Salkind Superman universe, I think it's good to acknowledge that today is Helen Slater's birthday. Of course, she was the very first Supergirl. She had her own movie called Supergirl.
And she was in the Flash movie.
Yes. And she was actually in the Supergirl TV show. She played Supergirl's Earth Mother.
That's right. I forgot.
Yeah. So.
Very cool.
And since I'm talking about Superman, we didn't mention this last week, but I did want to bring it up too. I guess this segues into the news a little bit. The producers of Superman and Lois thought that they were going to go for 7 seasons on the show. They ended up going with 4 because DC didn't want a TV show at the same time that they're having a theatrical movie. But the producers did say, had they had their extra seasons, the 2 villains that they were going after to put on there, do you know who they are? Hello? I guess he's gone. Time out. So it is Brainiac, and that was the first one they were going after if they would have had another season, and then Darkseid. And they said that they weren't exactly sure that DC would have gave them permission for Darkseid, but they would have made a hell of a pitch, they said, to have Darkseid on the TV show. So I think that would have been some interesting evolutions for the show. I'm a little bit behind on the show, so I'm looking forward to getting caught up because I know everyone has been raving about, especially this last season.
Sorry about that. I have no idea what happened. My Bluetooth. It was the perfect time to shut off.
Yeah. So what's going on news-wise? What do you have?
Dang it. Man, what is going on?
Can you even hear me?
Let's see. I'll be right back.
Okay. I have a heck of a book show tonight to share with you. And if you've peeked at my Instagram story, I got something today. Something was delivered today on a Sunday. It was FedExed to me, and I've been wanting it for a long time, and as many people have. And I'm sharing that in the book show portion tonight.
Yeah, I saw a picture of it. Looks cool.
Yeah. Well,
how long did it take you from? When was it available for pre-order?
I'll talk about it when we get to that part.
Yeah, I mean, when you. Yeah, never mind. That's a question for the thing. But okay, yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, a lot of stupid technical issues. I think it's my phone's pulling my Bluetooth, but yeah, news. Been kind of slow.
We're getting a Superman trailer.
They launched a Superman trailer?
We're getting one tomorrow.
We're getting one.
Tomorrow it's showing for the Warner Brothers employees, and then the public should see it within a week.
Honestly, I think it's too early. Because that movie doesn't come out until July.
Yeah.
It's December.
Yep.
It's too early. If it was me, it wouldn't come out to about May. But yeah, I mean, are you gonna watch? I know you're not a trailer person, but
I don't think I'm gonna watch it.
Don't think you're gonna watch it? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think I will. I like trailers. But slow news. I only got two little tidbits.
Okay.
The first being a Clayface movie has been greenlit.
That's right. I did hear a little bit about that.
And that should come out in, they said September 11th, 2026. So that's very cool. And then the other little bit of tidbit news is the movie Dynamic Duo. I don't know if that's like a Batman and Robin or what. But that's slated June 30th, 2028. So I don't like it when they announce movies way ahead. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think what they should do is let's cast the people, and then let's announce it. Oh, Bob has been cast as this character in this movie coming out this day. Like, oh yeah, I can get behind that, but because I get my hopes up, and then that movie gets moved or changed or canceled. Yeah, I don't know. Think of all the stuff that was announced for Zack Snyder's Snyderverse, and then nothing happened.
Yeah.
None of it got hit.
Well, if you stop and think about it, if you go back and watch his Justice League trailer, the majority of the trailer didn't even end up in the movie.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right. I remember. It drove me nuts. Yeah, so I don't know. No casting has officially been announced for the Clayface movie. But for some reason, they put this little note on the article. Note, Alan Tudyk is voicing the character on Creature Commandos, known as Dr. Phosphorus. I don't know why they put that in there. Probably because he was the voice of Clayface for a little while. I don't know. But yeah, that's all I got for news. Just two little tiny bits.
Okay, dokie.
Not much else.
Yeah. Well, tell us, Tony, you picked tonight's retro review. Tell us a little bit about it and why you picked it.
Yeah, I picked. I mean, we're not reading Creature Commandos. We're reading Creature Commando character stories, so to speak. And I picked Frankenstein. Honestly, because I really enjoyed his run in New 52. I thought it was very unique. Especially his origin in the Zero issue. So that was kind of the theme sticking with the Creature Commandos, I chose Frankenstein, and you chose who else?
I chose the very first appearance of G.I. Robot back in Star Spangled War Stories. It's a Silver Age story.
That's cool. So, what was your logic? I mean, you could have picked anybody. So, what was it about?
Well, I think naturally,
Robot?
I think people naturally would have expected me to pick Cersei, and I
That's
was like,
true.
no, I want to do something else. This isn't just an all Wonder Woman show, as much as I would love that. Sure, she gets her turn, but it's a turn. Anyway, I like the character, and I thought I really have never read any GI Robot, and I thought let's go back and start from the very beginning and read the very first appearance.
Interesting.
My story goes back to 1962. Oh, and Sarah will love this one. It's a Robert Kanigher story.
Robert Kanigher?
Yes.
Okay. Very cool. Let me get my screen. You want me to go first?
Doesn't matter.
Okay. I will go first. Let me print my little screen up here. One of these buttons. Here it is. Shablam. Okay. Yeah, so here it is. New 52-0, Frankenstein, the Agent of S.H.A.D.E. This is a very interesting take on Frankenstein. I know we've all heard the story of Frankenstein's monster and, that whole shebang, but it was interesting to see how it got folded into the DC universe, and how it interacted with, Task Force X and Justice League and Justice League Dark. So, this is a rather unique kind of folding in, and they take liberty from the actual Frankenstein story and fold it into the DCU. It's kind of interesting how they do that. So, of course, we start off here with the Frankenstein's laboratory, and he's kind of got just body parts of various animals kind of laying around. And we see him in his big laboratory. He's got bodies of people. He's got prisoners, really. And, he's kind of yelling at his creation, the monster. And he's like, you're my greatest achievement to date. Wake up. And, nothing's really happening. And he finally gets the monster to wake up. And he's like, holy cow, it's awake, it's alive. It's alive. Kind of looks like the Hulk, in my opinion. Even right down to the shorts. But Frankenstein Dr. Frankenstein is very excited to have him alive. But the monster just kind of rips through his restraints and just cold cocks Dr. Frankenstein. I mean, he's out. He's got two bodyguards, but Frankenstein he just rips right through them, quite literally rips their arms off, and kills them, and puts on the garb of the guards and kind of frees the prisoners here. And as he's getting ready to leave himself, he comes across the bride here, and not Bride of Frankenstein. I guess technically it's Bride of Frankenstein, but not that kind of Bride of Frankenstein. And she kind of is like, please, you must, protect those poor lost souls. You can't just go out there and terrorize. So you have to protect people. But and here we have a quick glimpse of the bride, the actual bride that you see in Creature Commandos being created here. Victor's prisoners did end up surviving, and Frankenstein a bride for him. So we cut back to Frankenstein's journey of 10,000 miles. He came across a lot of obstacles and whatnot. But we cut to a ship somewhere in the South Pacific, with a lot of these hooligans on there, so to speak. a lot of misfits that Dr. Frankenstein has created. And they all have like some kind of upgrade attached to them. And then they embark on a jungle island, and it turns out that they're looking for Frankenstein. And Frankenstein doesn't necessarily want to be found, but he is found by members of a local tribe, and they kind of take him in and kind of teach him what it's like to be human. You know what I mean? He's given a task in the tribe, and he has to pull his weight, and he has to help care for the members of the tribe. Um, and it's cool because they really teach him his culture. One time he's meditating, and he's attracted the attention of some kind of tentacle. When he is attacked, he's able to cut through him with his big sword that he always carries around. And it turns out to be some big monster, but he's able to subdue the monster, and the tribe like officially accept him, and they paint his face and everything just like they are. So he's officially part of this tribe. One day, the tribe is attacked by these like upgraded mutant things created by Dr. Frankenstein, and this one upgrade I think is kind of cool. He can shoot like a grappling hook out of his arm, and he's able to like hook Frankenstein with it. But he's really no match for Frankenstein, because Frankenstein is incredibly strong. So he just punches him literally, it seems like, into the lower stratosphere. And Frankenstein is able to pretty much handle himself in this entire situation. So yeah, here we go again. He's just throwing people like a quarter mile. And Frankenstein's able to recognize Victor Frankenstein, as his creator. They have this big tussle. They go flying down a waterfall, and they have this big kind of face off, and they're talking about, listen, I created you. I didn't mean to. I mean, I created you, but you can't do this. I made you. You have to listen to me. Essentially, my property. And Frankenstein says, no, thank you, and ends up hitting him over the head with a rock, and he ends up face down in the river here. Out of nowhere, he's approached by a young lady in a white dress, and Frankenstein is confused and says, "Hey, who are you?" The lady says, "You can call me Father." Very confusing. And with that simple exchange, S.H.A.D.E has recruited its most illustrious agent. And here we have like a hodgepodge of Frankenstein going on these missions, and he's ripping arms off of robots. And check this out. I didn't know this till I had to reread this issue. We have a slight cameo appearance by G.I. Robot fighting a Nazi robot spider. So here we have our first S.H.A.D.E team up, or Creature Commando team up, as you will, of Frankenstein and G.I. Robot. But that's it. He's only in one panel. And they say he's able to do many things, including changing the course of world wars, rooting out evil so no other could. An agent to fight fear, an agent with no fear, an agent of justice to fight evil, an agent of S.H.A.D.E. So here he is fighting a bunch of monsters. So very cool. And that kind of wraps up this issue. So if you have not read this issue, I would highly recommend it. Frankenstein is a very fun read. It's interesting to see them bringing on like a classic character into the DC universe, so to speak. So very cool.
Yeah, I think Marvel also had their own Frankenstein.
I'm sure they
Frankenstein books and titles and stuff too. So while you get the assist ready for our next retro review, I'll say hi to a few people that popped into the chat while you were reviewing. And Gore Vidal is here. Oh, we already said hi to Gore. I'm sorry. I meant to say we have Bronze Age Brian here. And we have Comic Book G-Man stopping by. Mr. Galvin, hope you're doing well.
Hello, fellas.
Yeah. But hi again, Gore.
No, we already said hi to him. You can't say
just
hi
one
twice.
hi.
Everybody gets one.
Yep. So this is the issue. It's the first story that we're doing from Star Spangled War Stories. And there you see we've got G.I. Robot. So think about this. In 1962, this had to be a comic book fan's dream. Dinosaurs and robots in the same
Dinosaurs,
issue.
robots, and back then war comics were really big.
Yes.
So it's a triple header.
It is. So this is going to be our first appearance of G.I. Robot. And if you crank into the first page after the advertisement.
Oh, yeah.
There we go. So here we have our soldier who is Mac. He said, never thought my life would depend on a G.I. robot battling a dinosaur. So our story starts out where Mac is being called in. And he's like, what is this thing, Skipper? Is it a zombie? And they're like, no, it's your new buddy, Mac. Professor Zurin of HQ will explain it to you. So he says, this is Joe. He's a GI robot. We've built in practically every response we could think of which might come up in combat. But the laboratory isn't a battlefield. Joe must be tested under actual battle conditions. And they tell him that Joe responds to spoken sounds and the sounds of weapons, ammo, and machines. Take him out on an easy mission and see whether he's chicken or rooster. And he says, hey, Skipper, my life could depend on whether this thing works right or not. What if a machine gun opens up and I yell, take cover? And all of a sudden, G.I. Robot runs and pushes him down. And he said, I said, take cover, not cover me like a blanket. You saw what happened. This is never going to work. So the next day, there, lo and behold, getting ready to go on an easy mission is Mac and old Joe there. And they're getting ready to jump out. And he's like, well, look at him. He's not, he's a robot. So he's not nervous. He's not scared. There's no butterflies in his stomach. Mac has to go first and then yell jump. So G.I. Robot knows to jump. And as they're heading down, it feels like they're caught in some type of wind tunnel in the sky. And they said, Mac's wondering, is this something else that they cooked up in the laboratory that they forgot to tell me about? Because he sees this humongous, like pterodactyl type bird. And he's telling G.I. Robot to commence fire, to open up. And he's like, oh no, the robot can't hear me. He can't respond, He's like, this looks like the first test and this combat is going to be a flop and it's going to be my finish. Well, this giant pterodactyl bird grabs a hold of Mac and now his chute's all tangled up like spaghetti. It's useless. And all in the meantime, G.I. Robot is just kind of enjoying the ride. And the pterodactyl starts to head for G.I. Robot. And he says, Mac's saying, I know you've only been built to respond to combat conditions, but don't just hang there, robot, fire. Well, G.I. Robot hears that and he turns around and he starts to fire. And he does hit the bird, the bird lets go of Mac, and Mac starts to free fall, but his parachutes rip. So he says, this is going to be the longest free fall in history. So he commands G.I. Robot to catch him. Open your arms and catch me, or you're going to lose your real live buddy. And G.I. Robot does catches him, but he starts gripping him so tight that he can't breathe. And he says, open up. So G.I. Robot starts to fire his gun. He says, I don't mean fire, I mean open your arms. But then he opens his arms too much, and Mac starts to fall. Luckily, he grabs a hold of his leg and is just hanging on. And they start to make it down towards land. By this point, they've blown so far away from where their easy mission is, they don't know where they're at and what conditions they're about to head into. They're on an island on a map that he's never seen on a map before. And he thanks Joe, old G.I. Robot, for saving his life. And he's like, look at me. I'm speaking to him like he's a real person. I guess I must be combat happy. And he starts to think, well, I got to give this guy orders because he won't think on his own to do something. So he makes sure to tell him to stand up and remove his chute. And he says, well, that's one good thing. He just obeys completely without, second guessing anything. So that's better than some real live people. And they start going through this entire island. And as they're making the way through, the landscape suddenly detaches itself. And the two go flying, and they realize they actually were walking on a dinosaur. And Max says, that's the closest thing to a four-legged tank that I've ever seen. And it calls for my anti-tank weapon. And he says, Joe, here's where you're going to earn your tubes and wires in you, or we're finished. Give me the bazooka. And he's telling him, load me, load me. And he says, stand back, stand clear, or, the back blast will melt you down to shrapnel. So they fire against this dinosaur, and they're able to get the imminent threat away. And he says, well, we got to patrol, we got to move on. And as they're walking, he's like, he's a great soldier, but what do you yak about with a robot? You can't talk about girls or who's going to win the World Series. You can't do that with a robot. And as they keep going, he says, Max says, they knew we hadn't occupied this island, so they thought this would be a picnic, and then this is what happens. And then all of a sudden, Mac instantly falls into a booby trap. He says, and I'm the boob for not having spotted it. And of course, G.I. Robot just keeps walking because he wasn't given an order to stop. And he falls in there too. And he realizes when he looks up that they got a dinosaur looking down on them. So it's kind of like the reverse end of a zoo, because they're the ones that are being watched. That they're the exhibits. So he starts to fire a little bit, and he starts giving some orders to G.I. Robot Joe, and he says, you got to toss a grenade up here. And he does, and luckily that takes care of the dinosaur, and it frees Mac. And he's like, how am I going to get G.I. Robot out of this hole that they fell into? So he gives them the order to jump up, jump up. And he makes a spectacular jump that no human would ever be able to do. And he realizes that G.I. Robot saved his life again. And he says, you sure would qualify for the Olympics if they let robots on the team. And I don't see why not. Robots are as good as people in my book. So they head into a cave to rest for a few minutes, although G.I. Robot doesn't need to rest, but Mac does, and he needs some food, and he thinks how interesting it is that G.I. Robot doesn't need any food. And he sleeps, and the next day they wake up, and they find a radar tracking station the enemy had built. So they blow that thing up, and blowing that up causes all the dinosaurs, that sudden explosion and bang, all the dinosaurs to start running almost like in a stampede. And he's like, oh, we got to get out of here, Joe. And he's like, oh, he's not moving because I forgot to give him a command. So he gives them the command to start moving. And they throw some grenades because they found that works. And then at one point, G.I. Robot looks at Mac, and Mac is like, I must be flipping my lid, Joe. You look as if you're thanking me. And I know that's impossible. Come on, let's march. So they're running for their lives, literally, as dinosaurs chase them. And instead of a booby trap, they run into quicksand. And both of them are in there, but G.I. Robot instantly picks up Mac and starts lifting him up so he wouldn't be as affected by the quicksand. And at the same time that he's lifting Mac, he starts shooting off at the dinosaur with his gun to try to get rid of him, and the dinosaur flops down. And then finally, G.I. Robot tosses Mac all the way onto the shore because he knows that it's safe, and he's like, how am I going to get him back? He's like, hey, this worked in the cave. Maybe I should try this and see if it works again. And he tells him to jump as hard as you could. And he does. And he escapes from the quicksand. And he's like, my G.I. Robot buddy could do this. And he did do this. So it's time to beat it off of Dinosaur Island, get out of there as fast as they can. And he grabs a hold of G.I. Robot's back and says, hope you don't mind towing me for a couple of miles, Joe. I haven't got a built-in motor. And the guys that picked him up didn't get too good of a look at Joe, and they say, you fellows look like you've been on something real rugged. What happened? And he says, ask my GI buddy. He'll tell you all about it. And that's the end of GI Robot's very first appearance.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah. I want to say hi to Christina Payne. Hi, Christina. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for stopping by. Always great to see you. The Art Chemist is here with us as well. Hope you're doing well. Nice to see you too. Did see our friend Kenneth Bird jump in here too. Hello from Virginia. So, your thoughts on these two stories and the characters and our retro review tonight, and throw in a grade as well.
I've never read the first GI Robot. That was kind of neat. I'm curious to learn how he kind of gets a little bit more independent, if that makes sense.
It's my understanding from what I read that there's like they keep upgrading him into different versions.
Sure.
Like the next one isn't Joe. Like he has a different name, and they kind of keep upgrading him more and more.
But yeah, I really enjoyed it. That's a very nice, easy introduction to a character. I like what they did back then. They would have a book with 2-3 stories, and that's one of them was always an introduction of a new character. It's kind of easy, you know what I mean? I can decide whether or not, you know what, I'll read more about GI Robot or that character. So I wish they would do that now. I really do. Would be a lot easier to deal with some of the new characters. Some of them were just absolutely ridiculous. So I'm glad that were hyped up and then just plummeted right back down because they'll never come back. But
yeah, they even had a hey, if you like GI Robot, let us know and we'll put them in some more comic books.
Yeah. Let's make comic books great again. Like they were back in the day. You know, I feel like back then you got more meat on the bones than some of the more modern ones. What I love about some of these older stories is, we're looking at the digital version, but I can smell it. I can smell it. But out of all these books combined, I'm really starting to enjoy some of these lesser known characters. I think James Gunn has to take a lot of credit for that. It's kind of his thing, taking lesser known characters and making them popular. So, yeah, I love it. 8 out of 10.
Agree with you. I mean, I didn't know these characters if it really wasn't for this show that I'm watching. And like I said, it was a show that I had really no desire. I thought this isn't a show for me. I don't think I'm going to like this show. And I love this show and would rewatch this show. And I like the characters that are invested in it. I never thought that GI Robot would be a character. Like if you gave me just a list of characters without me having seen the show, I would have been like, I don't know which one I'm going to pick, but after watching the show, I love him. What do you think about the fact that GI Robot on the show is also voices Weasel, and of course that's the obligatory I have to get my brother Sean a job. What do you think about that?
I mean, it's not a big deal, it's just one of them is just a bunch of noises, not even a dialogue really. So I feel like you can give anybody that job. I'm okay with it. I guarantee you he's making more money voicing Weasel than you and me and everyone in the chat probably combined.
Yeah.
Just by making a bunch of Weasel sounds. But if I were James Gunn, I probably might do the same thing. Just give my family like stupid little parts.
Yeah.
Because it'd be fun.
I wish I was his family. I still want to be the voice of Skeets, and Sean will probably get that.
Yeah, right. Guarantee he's gonna voice Skeet somehow. For sure. But that's what I think. What about you? Let's hear your grades.
I'm gonna go. I think both stories are fun. Characters are newer to me. Man, Robert likes the show too. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. I'm gonna go 8.5 out of 10.
8.5. Okay.
Yeah.
Respectable. Yeah, I'm excited for it, especially moving forward. Very cool.
Yeah. So our show tonight, just so you know, is going to be our final show for 2024. And it looks like we're going to have a little bit of extra time here at the end. So we're going to get into like the book show portion and talk about our channels now. But if you guys in the chat want to dialogue about anything DC Comics related, start throwing some topics in there or questions that you might have for us or whatever. And we'll start hitting those up after we do the book show and promote our channels. So you want to take it away, Tony, and tell us what's going on with your channel?
Yeah. Looking into the future and 2025, CBCS decided that they were going to have this super promotion that I can't believe that they're doing. Free signature verification fees So I absolutely jumped on top of that the second that coupon came out, and I whittled it down to first it was 10, then it grew to like 20, and then I was like, okay, I'm gonna stop at 25. But then I was like, I can't stop at 25. So I finally settled on 30. I'm sending 30 books away for signature verification and to get slabbed over at CBCS. Very excited for them to come back. Of course, I'm going to make a ton of content out of that. And there are a few books in that lot that I'm going to do something very special with. So stay tuned for that. But coming up a little bit more, actually, probably before that, I'm going to do like a new updated room tour. There's some things that change. It's something I like doing every year. And I feel good because it usually gets a lot of attention on YouTube. So I want to continue positive momentum. And of course, the subscribers like it too. So a new updated room tour coming up. That's probably going to be in January sometimes, but looking forward, to now a little bit more recently. I got a lot of shorts planned for that. For some reason, my shorts usually do really well, like after they've already been published for a while. I don't know why. Like today, I had a short, get an extra 1,000 views, and it was one that's been updated or uploaded for like 2 weeks. Because I have no idea. But I'll take it. So a lot of shorts coming up. But for my book show, I decided to keep it in theme and show my Frankenstein Zero that yes, it is signed by Wayne Faucher.
Nice.
I met him at Hershey Comic Con this year, and he actually had this cover in original art, and could have been yours for the price of $3,000.
Oh wow!
So I was like, yeah, I mean, I like Frankenstein, but not $3,000 worth. So I said no, but he did sign this book. He charged me nothing for the signature, and now it's very cool. A long-term goal for these 0 issues, I would like to get as many of them signed as I possibly can.
How many do you have so far?
I think I have all of them.
I mean, how many do you have signed?
Oh, signed? Maybe a dozen.
Okay.
Yeah. So, that'd be kind of neat, I think. So that is what's coming up on my channel.
Okay. So on my channel, I'll talk about what's already on the channel. Then I'll talk about what's coming. So my back issue of the week short tied into Superman the movie. I did a Superman 78 issue number 1. Of course, that's the miniseries that was based on Christopher Reeve and his version. And it's based on an unused concept for the 3rd Superman movie, which would have involved Brainiac. So issue 1 is the current back issue of the week YouTube short on my channel that you could watch. My comic book editions video that came out this past week was from our fellow fanboy / fangirl / fan person, silver-haired Bronze Age babe. She sent me an A-OK that included a slab. So that's what I unboxed in the video that's currently on my channel. As for what's coming up on the channel, the back issue of the week YouTube short tomorrow will be Marvel themed. It will tie into Kraven the Hunter, which is a movie that nobody seems to enjoy. But we're going to talk about a comic book that I have where he's not fighting a Spider-Man superhero, but a different hero that I think is so perfect for him to be a nemesis of. So I talk about that in tomorrow's short, the back issue of the week short. Then on Tuesday will be my final comic book editions video for 2024. Back issue of the week will still continue during my holiday hiatus, but it's going to be an all DC Comics haul. So that, and I'll touch base on that in just a moment again too with my book show. And then on Wednesday I have JLA versus Avengers, issue number 7 with John's Comics with Kids. That will be 8 o'clock Central on my YouTube channel. And that is Silver Age Avengers issue 7 versus Silver Age Justice League of America issue 7, which had the better issue 7. We have some different criteria that we use to break it down, and with the help of the live chat, we determine what that's going to be. So that will be Wednesday night live on my channel. So that's all that's coming up on my channel. So I showed this off on Instagram, And on my video, my DC Comics haul, I actually did the official unboxing. Today, I got a FedEx package. And kind of excited because I usually don't get stuff like that on a Sunday. Usually don't get FedEx at all. And I'm going to show this anyway. You'll see, like I said, you'll see the full unboxing in the video. I pre-ordered this back in July, and this has been delayed a few times, but finally in my hands is the 1982 DC Comics Style Guide facsimile, hardcover by Standards Manual. And oh my gosh, I am so excited to have this. I ordered directly from Standards Manual, which is why I have my copy now. It's shipped on Friday out of Georgia. And so those that ordered like through a comic book store because it was available, you know, through LCSs, I'm sure your copy will be coming in the next 2 weeks, but it's nice to have it a little bit early before everyone else. It's a heavy book too. And it's, you know, like 368 pages. And I can't wait to pop the plastic off this thing and just enjoy.
So you haven't even looked at it yet?
No, I haven't. It's still factory sealed. So I'm just...
Is there anybody credited with any kind of artwork in there?
It's one artist that did the entire thing. And it's Jose Garcia Lopez. I would love to have this signed by him.
Well, maybe someone, you know, will meet him up.
Maybe. I would feel bad for whoever has to take this to a con and lug this, because this book is heavy. You know, unless they have a wagon.
I know a guy with a wagon.
Put it in the wagon, it's not so bad, you know?
Hopefully my wagon's axles won't bust.
Yes. But here I look on the back here. It talks about, it's got the style guide introduction, then Superman, the Batman, Wonder Woman, Shazam, the Justice League of America, the Justice League of America Part 2, the Teen Titans, Plastic Man, Superpowers, and Super Juniors. So
that's exciting.
This is a little bit, from what I understand too, an amalgam, because they released this first style guide, which was never meant for the public to have. They released it in 82, and then they did some updates to it between 82 and 86. And this is kind of like includes all the updates and everything too. And the original style guide was in a binder. This is a hardcover book. So, but it looks awesome.
I'm excited for you.
Yeah. Like I said, the only thing that would make this thing better is to get it signed.
No lady cop?
No, I don't think so. I don't remember any lady cop.
Awesome. That's exciting.
Yeah.
It's nice to get something big like that in the mail.
Oh, I know, and especially on a Sunday, you know, when
you don't expect to get it.
I got it today. It came this afternoon.
Oh, yeah, you did say that, but I guess it just didn't resonate.
Yeah, it came this afternoon. So that's how fresh my video dropping on Tuesday will be. It wasn't filmed until today.
What carrier was it? Who dropped it off?
FedEx.
FedEx? Yeah, they operate on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. Well, I guess, I mean, still exciting. Still exciting.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. I'm jealous. I should go get one.
You should. I mean, these are, for those that are wondering, I think the MSR on this is $95.
Oh.
So,
okay. Not bad.
No,
but look what you get for $95.
Like, yeah, I mean, you get 384 pages worth, you know?
More than that, like you get essentially a piece of history.
Yeah.
DC Comics history. And especially if you can get Mr. Garcia Lopez to put his little on it.
Yeah.
I tell you what, though, I mean this in a, I gotta be careful how I word this. I mean this in a also good, but it comes out kind of bad. Like, he's not getting any younger.
Who is?
And I've noticed every time I link up with him, he's obviously visibly older. But I notice he's starting to struggle a little bit with like this motion. And I can only imagine because he's an artist and he's doing signatures, so he's probably all over the place.
Well, when you stop and think about it, I mean, we're talking, he was drawing books 40 some years ago. You know, 45 years ago, he there's published work from him, and and it's amazing, and how nice it is that he is still with us to appreciate the contributions that he's made to our hobby.
Yeah. Oh, hands down. Hands down. I hope he's with us for many, many, many more years.
Me too.
And great health. But
yeah.
I'd be curious to like sit down with him and like look at this book and just talk with him about it. I think that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah. I mean, what a compliment it is too when DC decided to do, part of the reason for this style guide was to make sure that licensed images all had a uniform look. And to, if artists had any reference questions too on a character, they had this as a template to look at. But what a compliment it is that DC went out of all their artists they could have gone to and said, no, you are going to draw the defining versions of these characters at this moment in their existence. That's pretty awesome,
Yeah. I wonder that style guide, back in like, the mid 80s. So when DC hired you as an artist, like, did they give you a copy of that?
I don't know.
Huh. Interesting to know. Because I wonder if there's other original copies out there that you could get your hands on.
Yeah, Perez would have been ideal for that too,
I would agree. George Perez or even Neil Adams, really.
Probably couldn't afford him.
Couldn't afford his page rates.
No, but Neil Adams to me almost did. I mean, there wasn't an official style guide in the 70s, but unofficially, Neil Adams was the style guide artist of the 70s to me,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Oh man, I love Neil Adams, but yeah, I tell you what though, his prices. I mean, when you're that high up, I mean, you charge whatever the heck you want. I had to decide,
and he did.
Not his choice.
Hey, Glenn.
You went with the complete history of Shazam. That was the obvious choice. Or absolute Green Lantern. Yeah. One of those two. Only makes sense. Ah, man, that's what a year.
Yeah.
What a year.
So looking back at 2024, collecting wise, any big highlight come to mind or anything pick up or short or a video you did or
short. Yeah, that's an easy one. I'm gonna start there. A short. I made this short about Superman signatures, and that it exploded. It got me over 1,000 subscribers total. It's still doing very well. That tiny short alone got me close to 400 new subscribers.
Wow.
So, and I've never been able to catch that wave again.
Yeah.
I think that's a once in a lifetime tsunami. YouTube wise, hey, I made it over 1,000 subs. That was a goal. And Magic Lasso is right behind me.
I still have a little bit to go.
2025 is your year, man. I can feel it.
I hope so.
But collecting wise, there's a lot that I'm really thankful for. That's really hard. But if I had to pick some books that were immediately around me, it was really nice to get Dan Jurgens. Just not this book in particular, but just him in general. I really like Dan Jurgens, so I'm happy to get him. The always favorite Mark Waid. Love Mark Waid. His run on Shazam was really, really well written. I mean, and as a bit of a completionist, I'm glad that I was able to get these two. I think they complement each other very well. I was able to get the full Dan Jurgens and Mike DiCarlo on Booster Gold, the original copy and the silver screen variant.
Nice.
I think they complement each other very well. So,
and neither one signed in gold.
Neither one is signing. I requested it on both books.
And you got
a total of 4 signatures, and I got not a single one. Of course, it was nice to meet. Yes, thank you, Bobby. Thank you, Bobby. Yes, hats off to all of you for sure. This year would have been terrible if it wasn't for all of you. But
Absolutely.
speaking of people in the community, I met Southern Comic Book Geek for the first time. That was
Jason,
really cool. He's a really super nice guy. And Mike from Stash Wars, the Sig Slayer. Talk about two incredibly nice guys. And I don't know if you know this, but Mike, he's a giant. He's so big.
Yeah.
He's so tall. That guy's huge. But it goes to this personality too. What a big personality he's got, in a good way, in a great way. He's an absolute pleasure to be around, and I'm looking forward to meeting with all of you in the future. But there's just I could talk another hour and a half about things that have happened in 2024 that I'm thankful for. Maybe I'll make a video before the end of the year. I don't know.
Okay.
But, question for 20. What's your number one wanted signature that you don't currently own? Don't currently own. I don't even know, man. Because for a long time, it was Jeff Johns. Like, I had one Jeff Johns signature, but someone gifted it to me, so I never collected it. But
wasn't there a creator that has canceled their appearance that you were excited about because you didn't have?
Yes. Joshua Williamson.
Okay.
No, Joshua Middleton. I get those two confused all the time. Joshua Middleton. I would love to get Joshua Middleton for a million reasons, but one, obviously, because it needs to go in my collection. I've got a ton of books for him to sign. Two, he's from the town I live in. He doesn't live here anymore. I think his family still does. So I don't know why he doesn't come to this local con, but that's a whole other. But anyway, I digress. So I'm going to get him to sign an extra book that's very special, and have it donated to the Pennsylvania State Library. I was able to track down his first published works with DC, buy a copy. I'm going to give him to sign it, kind of explain why I picked that book or whatever. Maybe he'll sign it for free. And let him know that it's going into the state library to be archived for forever. So after 100 years from now, we're all long gone. People can still enjoy his work and see that his big contributions to DC, and that he has stuff in the library too that anybody can go look at. So,
nice.
I'm excited for that. That's some of my big goals for 2025.
Nice. What title was it?
Superman Shazam First Thunder.
Oh, nice.
So, of course, I'm going to get a copy for myself.
Yeah.
But, he was Superman Shazam First Thunder was one of his first ones. I'll still be here in 100 years. Yeah. Of course, Bobby will be here.
We'll probably still be doing this show.
Yeah. I don't know about 100 years from now. If we're over 100 years old doing the show, God bless us. God bless us. That's all I got to say. What about you? What are some of your big, quick look backs on 2024?
I think having Andre here with me again was huge.
Yeah. That's so
my
cool.
Friend from Brazil. I mean, we've met before in person, but having him back and here actually with me was awesome. Collecting wise, I'm not going to get into specific numbers, but because I still have some books that are in Canada, and Canada is hopefully just about to be done with this postal strike that they're on. But I had a 3-year plan for completing Justice League of America Volume 1. And my plan was 12 a year for the next one a month, essentially for the next 3 years when I started 2024. Well, I took that goal this year and literally threw it to the ground and stomped on it. And I have done so incredibly well collecting on the Justice Leagues that there's not many left. As a matter of fact, it used to be I'd go into a store, I'd look to see what Justice Leagues they have, and there was always one that I didn't have. Now I'm going into stores when I'm hunting or on the websites or whatever, I'm looking, and it's hard to find one that I need. So that's how the tables have flipped. It went from always had something I need to now it's hard to find one I need because there aren't that many.
Yeah. interesting. So it's nice to see, that you shattered that goal, for
Yeah.
2024. I try not to set goals, especially for collecting, because they don't always pan out. Because it's my focus for the comic book community, especially for collecting, is so reliant on others, especially like con appearances. So, and they, everybody cancels all the time for whatever reason. So, unfortunately, I try not to do like collecting goals. Although I'm super excited to finally get Josh Middleton out of the way, and excuse me, I know Jerry Ordway's making another Baltimore Comic Con appearance. Yeah, unfortunately, he had to cancel last year. A lot of people canceled last year.
I'd love to get a Jerry Ordway signature. There's a couple covers I can think of in my collection that would just be perfect.
Such a nice guy. I enjoy chatting with him, but because of the Billy Cassidy passing, so a lot of people. His service was the day of Baltimore Comic Con, unfortunately. So, I mean, I get it. I wasn't happy about it, but by all means, like, who cares about me? Go pay your respects. I wish I could, but whatever. 2025. I'm really looking forward to it. Looking forward to having all of you back in 2025 as well.
That's right. I think we'll do some fun things next year too. And of course, Silver Hair Bronze Age Babe's going to be with us monthly. As a matter of fact, the next show we do, because we'll take at least probably a month off, won't be the first weekend of January, but she'll be on our first show in January.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And then usually you'll find her in the first shows of each calendar month. So.
Yeah. So don't forget to subscribe. If you haven't, I'd be confused why you haven't subscribed to Magic Lasso, because we're on his channel and you're in the chat. But also subscribe to each other. You know what I mean? There's people that make content here in this chat and
some amazing stuff.
Some really underrated stuff for sure. So
do you think that you'll get anything related to your collection, collectibles, comic books, whatever, as a Christmas gift?
Somewhat yes. Yes.
We look forward to seeing what that will be.
But I can tell you what it is right now. It's something really tiny, and I usually get hooked up with a gift card to my local shop, Comics Connection. Repping their gear tonight. That's usually because I guess someone complained I'm really hard to shop for. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, the comic book stores, it's right there. You drive past it every day. So that's usually everyone's default, is they give me comic book gift cards to the store. And trust me, I got nothing wrong with that. So, in fact, I was just at my shop, and they have a rewards program where you earn comic book dollars.
Yeah,
I'm up to 50 comic book dollars.
Nice.
I've earned so far. And just in the short, they just started doing that, so I haven't used it yet, and I still have a 25% off coupon any purchase and some comic book dollars off. So I think I'm going to combine those for a really good big boy book that I can't afford otherwise.
I hoarded all my rewards for years at my comic book store, and then when the Absolute Wonder Woman, not the current title right now, I'm talking the George Perez collected edition entitled Absolute Wonder Woman Perez. When that came out, got it for free.
Oh, it was worth it then. You got it for free? Oh man, that's incredible.
And that was an expensive book too.
Yeah, that's like over $100 book.
It's like $125.
Yeah, and you got it for nothing.
Got it for
what
nothing.
If you had $100 in credit, you would have got it for $25.
Even that, yeah.
I'll take it all day. But I don't collect omnibuses. As you can see, like I'm seriously running out of space in here.
I sent you a picture of a signed omnibus that I think that you should recreate. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember. I've already started that project, but it's been neglected.
Are you talking the encyclopedia?
Yeah,
Yeah,
a little bit. It's similar.
Yeah.
But it's so bulky. Because
bulky?
when I
wait till someone has to haul this baby around.
Because when I go to cons, I usually try to carry my stuff in these comic folios.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of these, so when I'm like, I can put in these little notes up at the top who this book contains, artist wise, or writer wise. I can sort through them pretty easy, and I've got a stack of those right here. And then I carry around this odd-shaped book that's like 4 times the size and weight of everything else. So it's a pain because usually I'm carrying a kid or two and their toys and their juice and cookies and.
Mm-hmm.
But man, yeah, 2024 was great, and I'm gonna leave my predictions here for 2025. I predict, I see it in the stars in my crystal ball, that 2025 is going to be a great year for Magic Lasso. And let me tell you why. I think something spectacular is going to happen that he's not going to expect. I mean, I don't know what it is. But I can feel it right down here in my duodenum. Right down here.
Oh, thank you.
Something is going to blow your mind. You know, a once in a lifetime opportunity is going to
like good. Something good.
In the best possible way you can imagine. It's going to happen. And yeah, like I said, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity, and it's going to be epic.
I look forward to seeing what it is.
Epic.
I just try to always be receptive and open to whatever comes into my life.
Yes, you're very Zen focused.
Yeah.
But man, here we go. Let's start this 2025 journey. Anybody else got anything cool they want to?
Yeah, anything else?
Right here at the end.
You're going to get your withdrawal after tonight.
My withdrawal?
No, I'm talking to the audience.
Oh,
this is your last few minutes until you don't have us for about a month-ish.
Yeah.
Hey, how about this? I mean, I'm not going to hold anyone to the fire or anything. And I mean, obviously Sarah's not here to, well, I mean, if she's still in the chat, she can contribute. I don't know about that. What are some characters that you think would be awesome for us to feature next year or in the years to come? I mean, what characters are on the top of your mind?
I don't know any specific characters, but I'll give you a team. How about Freedom Fighters?
Oh, I like Freedom Fighters, yeah.
Yeah, of Earth 10.
Yeah.
Freedom Fighters.
Oh, I also, glad you mentioned that. I finally did, besides watching that Christopher Reeve documentary, I watched the part 3 of Crisis on Infinite Earths.
What do you think?
It's not the comic book. I mean, it's not bad, but it's not I mean, there's so much stuff that's invented that was never in the comic book. And I'm like, why not stick to the original source? But I mean, it wasn't bad. Part 3 was the best of the 3 parts, but
yeah.
Of course, is John Constantine.
John Constantine would be nice. Yeah.
Some characters that are just on my mind, just rattling through.
Yep.
Lois Lane, which I'm sure that Sarah would be good for. I like to do something with the original Teen Titans, because we always seem to do the new Teen Titans, but I'd like to do something with the original team.
The OG.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think probably Sergeant Rock, because we really haven't done a lot with that character.
Yeah. One goal that I have for the show for 2025, more guests.
More guests, yeah. More guests would be great.
Yeah. Just because there's a billion of us in a good way out there, especially in the YouTube community. And it's interesting to see what everyone collects. You know what I mean? Like you're obviously a DC guy, but you...
I like Marvel too, but...
True, but you love Wonder Woman. Like, that's like your... I don't want to say center focus, but like you're where you lean the most is towards Wonder Woman. And Shebab here, she's a really big Lois Lane guy. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
I did not know that. That's and I think she's the only one that I know of.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really big Lois Lane fan. That's pretty cool. And she loves Neil Adams' work. I mean, honestly, who doesn't? But revisit Gods and Monsters. I'll come for that.
We'd love to have you on the show.
Oh, revisit Gods and Monsters. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I remember we did Gods and Monsters, where Batman's an actual vampire.
Yeah.
And Superman is Latino or Latino. I'm sorry. um, yeah, it's
I also
everyone.
think it would be fun to do some of the like I was talking about before, like the and we've done a little bit of this in the past, but like Superman 78, Batman 66, Wonder Woman 77. Some of the comic books that are specifically geared as offshoots from TVs and movies.
Okay, yeah, there you go.
That'd be fun. Of course, I want to do that Hostess show too.
Yeah, well, we got to do the Hostess reviews.
Yeah, the Hostess we got to do. So
that would be a lot of fun.
and I literally want to do every single DC ad. And
Well,
there's
they're
like
only
60
one
some of
page. They're not even. They're like half a page.
No, they're one full page. But there's 60 some, but that's only like reading 3 comic books, so which is what we normally do. So it's not that bad.
Not that bad at all.
No. It sounds horrible,
Yeah.
but it isn't.
Yeah.
Cool.
2025. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Well, I guess that brings us to the end of the greatest DC comic show on YouTube for tonight and for 2024. Everything that Signature King said certainly is the truth. We thank you so much. Couldn't do it, nor would we want to without you. On behalf of Tim the Comic Collector and ComicFoo 2814 and Silverhair Bronze Age Babe, links to all of their channels are in the description for this video as well. We thank you so much for your friendship and you wanting to spend time. That's what I really truly appreciate, because you know, this is an hour plus out of people's lives and they're like, yeah, I want to be here for it. And that is such a high compliment that I never lose sight of that. So yeah, more fun in 2025 for sure.
Stay tuned.
Yeah.
You know what I heard? She-Bab was going to make cookies and then
really?
mail them to us, and we're going to eat them.
Really?
On the show, yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, heard she makes really good cookies.
The things you learn when you're not on Discord.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys again. Thank you, Signature King, for always being here. And everyone have a very Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, and some ha-ha-has. And we hope that you do well, and we look forward to kicking off a new year with you in about a month or so. So until then, remember, there's still content on the channels and stuff. And thank you so much. And good night. Bye.